Most of Avatar was created within computers. Those computers that created 95% of Avatar were based in New Zealand. We were doing the pickups for Fellowship at the Ring, and he'd been on a junket. And one of the American reporters at this conference, at this press conference, asked him, now that you're doing this huge project, and it will probably succeed immensely on a world stage, does that mean you're going to come and work in Hollywood from now on? He replied, why should I go and live in Mordor when I already live in the Shire?
I think we're a small country a long way away, so we've learnt to be humble but also quite resilient. When you live a long way from anywhere, then you actually, the sort of our predecessors have had to be resilient people who can actually do things and make things happen and get on with things. And so I think it's those sort of attitudes that sort of define being a Kiwi, I think.
Well, originally Napier was settled in the 1840s because it was useful as a port. There were two rivers that came into the sea just to the north of town, and it was a great place for a harbour, and they thought this is just what we need. And so the town developed around that harbour, which is north of where the city centre is now. And then in 1931 there was a huge change when we had an earthquake, 7.8 on the Richter. And basically what happened, the land lifted up about 7 feet, 2 metres. Rivers changed course, the harbour drained out, and a lot of buildings fell over obviously and people died and what have you. The earthquake destroyed not the entire town, but certainly the city centre. The whole commercial area was gone. So they looked at the town and said, right, what are we going to do? We're going to rebuild the town. It's going to be this real special newest city on the globe. So we're going to underground the electricity, we're going to underground the telephone wires, we're going to make it really smart, we're going to widen the streets, what have you. And they built it. And they built it very, very quickly. That's what you can't see anywhere else in the world. Walking around the streets and seeing what it was like in 1931, 32, 33. The streets are just the same. Some of the shop fronts have changed, sure, but basically it's still there, so just as it was. And that's the beauty of Napier. One of the reasons that they got that really modern look at the time, they had no architects. So they went to the University of Auckland architecture school and said to the graduating class, who wants to build a town? And so most of the design was done by young men straight from university. And they wanted to build, of course, in the most modern style. That's what we've got. I think several things that brought them together. Adversity always brings people together, but what it has, and the Kiwi still has in an attitude, is I can do this. A can-do sort of attitude. We can do this, nothing stops you. And it was that can-do, and a tremendous optimism in that they could build a new town after the horror of the first one. It disappeared, lost a lot of people, but we're going to rebuild. And we're not just going to build anything. We're going to build the newest city on the globe. We are going to build something special. We're going to build something because that's what we want, and we can do that. And it's that attitude, I think, that still keeps the Kiwi going. They believe, I'm English, and I've been here 30 years, so I'm almost a Kiwi. I've almost got those attitudes, but the Kiwi attitude is anything's possible. We can do this, and it doesn't matter if you haven't got the wherewithal or the right pieces of equipment, you can still do it.
The number of sheep in New Zealand compared to the size of the country and the population is, I'm sure, bigger than anywhere else in the world. New Zealand's also associated with green pastures, white sheep, and when you have thousands of them in small mobs as tourists drive the country, the tourists just stand in awe and stand so far away, the bottom of the world, and you get something so picturesque, really leaves a dent in the mind. The history of the farm began in 1840 when my great-great-grandparents arrived with the first settlers to Akaroa. Their wish was to become farmers, and they found this wonderful settlement where we are now, and my son will be the 7th generation on the farm. Farmers, I guess, are a unique breed, especially when they live in isolated areas like this. I mean, farming on the hill country in isolation is different from farming on the flat. Out here we can go a week without seeing anybody else, so to survive in those circumstances, the qualities that we need are able basically to be happy with yourself, but not to be discouraged when things go wrong, because to be resourceful that you have the confidence to do what you want to do. Nature is sometimes against you, sometimes for you, but to learn to take the knocks, but most importantly to enjoy the good times.
There's a sense, you've got this incredible mountains and this idea of, you want to kind of surge for great goals and achieve great heights. So you're inspired by all those kind of scenic areas as well, Mount Cook or Milford or the areas where it's so extreme, incredible nature, and you also want to play up to that kind of beauty as well. So it makes New Zealanders very adventurous and daring, and they'll get out there and they want to achieve their dreams and get out there, and they're quite willing to go out there very naked, completely without much support. They'll just go out there and have that sense of naive, I can just do it anyway. So the nature gives us that confidence, which I think it gives everyone in that sense, which is really, really a powerful thing. It's just fortunate that we haven't ruined it or overcome it in that sense at this stage. It's still left its pristine since the time we've been here, and there's a very strong movement within the country to make sure that still happens. So you can still have access to the really pureness of nature, which I think is what it's all about, and to have access to that. We're not too caught up in the way of making money to the detriment of that type of that benefit. So that all calculates into the whole character of New Zealanders, and from there, we're just privileged, and we're lucky, and I think most New Zealanders know that and try to capitalise on it as much as they can, seize the opportunity to get out there while we can. So it's a great place to come and see.
Look at the Kiwi culture. I suppose the question is, what makes Kiwis different to other people? What's our point of difference? And I think I've come to the conclusion that we take time to be with people. We have a friendliness and an openness, and we take the time to be with people, and that is our point of difference.
The first thing that struck me when I came here 30 years ago was how friendly they were.
Us Kiwis, we're pretty laid-back people, really. I mean, we live in a postcard.
Again, it's that we can do this attitude, and that there's no restraint. The man who split the atom, Rutherford, was born in Nelson. Okay, he was a New Zealander. The man the first man on Everest was a New Zealander. They just think, yeah, we can do this. I mean, he's a beekeeper. Edmund Hillary was a beekeeper. That was his job. It's that sort of attitude. We can do this, yeah, okay, let's get it together and do it. Fabulous community spirit.
I think it's that resourcefulness that is inbred in us all, that we don't give up. The majority of us don't give up, and we want to see ourselves succeed, but we're thinking of the nation into the future as well. We want to be sustainable. I think we're just a nation of doers.
There are no strangers. I meet new friends every day. And I think that is a good Kiwi attitude, I think.
I think New Zealand's a special place, and I think probably what I'd like people to take away is that actually we live in a beautiful world all over the world, but here the outdoors is probably it's special, but it's quite visible. So I'd like people to take it back to their countries and look after their land.
A wise person once said to me that if you tell me about it, I'll forget it. If you show it to me, I may remember it. If you involve me, I will understand. What is it that I hope that people take away with them when they come to this beautiful exotic place that we call home? In regards to our people, the Māori, the indigenous people of these islands, I hope that when they leave, they understand us. Kia ora.